Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank
And thanks to all of you for listening to me. The agenda that I want to walk through really is Intel's journey on confidential computing. I want to give you a 2023 update. Uh, I heard Phil talk about confidential AI. It's, I think, a huge opportunity for us. I'll discuss that. And then I'll also talk about what are some of the things we're doing to actually maximize performance for confidential AI. Intel lawyers say hi to you. There's going to be a test at the end of my talk, so read carefully. Intel is one of the very few companies, probably the only company that has this vast portfolio of assets. We are able to do, app isolation with Intel SGX at finer granularity of the application being attested to. We can do VM isolation where you can bring in your entire application and have it secured with Intel TDX. And we're also the company that gives you an attestation service that supports both Intel SGX and TDX. It goes across multiple clouds. It supports on-prem. It supports on the edge. And I want to take this opportunity to thank our ISV community, our partners who are really using Intel SGX to protect their workloads. And TDX is going to be available for you to do the same. Now, let me give you a little bit of background from 2023 on each one of these in the next few slides. From an availability perspective, IBM Cloud announced support for Intel SGX with our 4th generation Xeon Scalable platform, also codenamed Sapphire Rapid. So they have now launched these new instances in 2023. The 5th generation core platform also supports Intel SGX. So anybody who's deploying EMR, that is the code name for the 5th gen Xeon Scalable, can go use SGX in those platforms as well. And I want to give you a couple of examples of large-scale production use cases of Intel SGX. Microsoft announced at Ignite last year that they are processing, or they have processed to date, almost $25 billion of their credit card processing system through an SGX-based ACC solution. And this is a PCI DSS level 1 compliant solution. So it's not a test harness or a side project. This is basically main deployment of their credit card processing system. In Germany, one of the leading insurance providers, AOK, partnered with IBM and Gematik to provide an e-prescription solution, which processes about 2 million prescriptions per day, which is, a sovereign cloud implementation using SGX. So very important for that region. And I see more and more of our partners and customers doing that. Grameen is one of our library OSs that we support in the open source community. It's up to about 45 plus customers, or members, I should say, and Fortanix joined it in 2023. And we had 3 major releases at that time. I want to use this opportunity to thank our friends, Hope for Justice, for using SGX in their prevention against human trafficking. Please definitely listen to their talk at OC3 later today. So from a VM isolation perspective, this was announced at 4th gen Xeon Scalable platform, like I said, codename Sapphire Rapid. This was announced at that time. Alibaba is the first one that is going to market with the 5th gen core. They have already announced public instances of that. You can go get it in China right now. Our partners at Azure and Google are doing multiple previews right now, getting ready for production deployment in 2024. TDX Connect, which is a significant portion of extending the TDX capability. We have an updated specification that we published this year or in 2023. And there's been a lot of movement in the upstream community to get support for TDX. TDX is now available in the Linux kernel. Most of the features are upstream. There are some more that are getting done right now as we speak. And from a downstream distro perspective, you can get early preview releases from Canonical, Red Hat, SUSE, and their production versions will be available later this year. So if you are waiting to experiment with downstream distro releases, these early releases will definitely help you out. So please go check them out. From a Intel Trust Authority perspective, Availability was announced at Intel Innovation last year in September. Big deal for us. It also achieved ISO 2701-2022, which is really a gold standard in information security management. So this is something that that service has achieved. Very happy with that. And Azure has announced that they will give their customers an option of using ITA or Intel Trust Authority for their TDX instances. And last but not least, Intel and NVIDIA have announced that instead of having two different authorities to attest, Intel Trust Authority will automate that. So there is one attestation you get across these two solutions. So very exciting for our partners and our customers. This roadmap is really our data center roadmap. It shows you proliferation across all of our swim lanes. So let me tell you what these mean. So the performance cores are really our flagship product. So this Intel SGX was available in 2021 on 3rd gen Xeon Scalable. And TDX was introduced as part of that in 4th gen Xeon Scalable, and it's going to continue for the foreseeable future. So you have the option of app level isolation or VM level isolation in our flagship product. The efficiency cores will introduce Intel SGX and TDX at Sierra Forest. The efficiency cores pack almost 288 cores per processor, so a lot of core density and really good performance per core. And that will continue with Clearwater Forest in the future. At the edge, we have our single socket Xeon processor called Xeon D, which currently supports Intel SGX, and moving forward will support SGX and TDX when Granite Rapids launches. So the thing I want you to take away from this slide is across all of these swim lanes in the data center, we have a product that supports Intel confidential computing technologies, either with SGX or TDX or both. Everybody thinks the GPU is AI, and that's I think it's necessary for certain workloads, and we want to support those workloads with Intel TDX Connect. And it's really a standards and community-based approach. And the idea of this is to provide you with link protection between the CPU and the appliance, and then also protection of the shared memory. So this is what the specification the TDX implementation supports a specification, and we are working with a host of partners in the community to make sure that there aren't silicon vendor-specific solutions coming out, that it's a solution with standard specification, standard tooling, standard testing methodologies, standard API, so it's easier for the community to adopt when these capabilities are available. So super excited about this coming into market. Now, I would be remiss if I don't go from confidential computing to talk about confidential AI as an opportunity for all of us. You have to be living under a rock if you have not been paying attention to AI. So AI innovation, either it's a top line to drive revenue through accessing or providing insights to stockpiles of data, or it's really looking at how do we become more efficient by automating things through AI. So AI is happening today, as we all know. And then on the right-hand side, and it's like a freight train kind of headed your way. And on the right-hand side, there is another freight train of regulation that countries in Europe or Europe at large, the United States with their executive order are all trying to make sure that the AI is AI for good and is protecting the models, the data, the privacy. And the question that, I don't know if it's at the top of your mind, but it was initially for me, are we at a collision course where these are going to collide with each other? And my answer is, no, it is not. It's going to be one of those very unique opportunities for us where compliance is actually going to be the fuel that drives AI innovation. If you read the compliance documents, there is very specific language about protecting the models, protecting the parameters, protecting all of these things with respect to AI. That is something that is in the wheelhouse of confidential computing. So I absolutely believe that confidential AI or AI married with confidential computing is going to be the fuel that's going to push us forward in 2020. It is pushing us forward now and will continue pushing us forward for, I think, the foreseeable future. I work for a CPU company. How can I not be on stage with you and not talk about performance? So let me orient you to what this is. So this is really talking about impact of confidential AI performance on Intel SGX. So our partners in Fortanix basically created this test for us, or created this test using Intel SGX on confidential AI inferencing solution. So they looked at image recognition, they looked at language processing, and what they found out was there was only a 3 to 6% impact in their tuned solution running on SGX. Now, I would be remiss if I don't say that your performance impact may be different. This is a fine-tuned solution, so depending upon your environment, it may be slightly different. But for this experiment or for this work, it was about 3 to 6%. But on the flip side of it, what we also saw that, with Intel AMX, advanced matrix extensions, we boosted performance by almost 5 to 7x, which is phenomenal. And this is the data that shows you both the degradation in slight performance because of confidentiality and that boost from Intel AMX, which is available right now on Xeon scalable platforms. Now, this is for SGX. Now, let me show you for TDX. This is an experiment, a language processing experiment with TensorFlow. And the whole idea of this was to show, was there a performance degradation? If so, how much? When you see this, it's about a 2% degradation of performance with Intel TDX. There are going to be some of you who are going to say, hey, because of confidentiality, I can't afford even this 2% reduction in performance. I want 100%, if not more than 100%. This is what I submit to you who are thinking about that. For that 2% degradation in confidentiality, are you willing to risk the breach of your confidential information? Are you willing to risk a compliance violation? Are you willing to risk IP loss or a security incident? You're probably thinking, yeah, maybe not, because I'm going to create all these complex data anonymization mechanisms, or I'm just going to keep my data so secure that I'm not going to maximize value out of it. To you, I say the 2% confidentiality degradation is well worth the cost in order for you not to be using the full potential of your data to protect your models, your IP, and just make sure that you're compliant. So please consider that trade-off when you look at your own workloads and you consider, hey, is this performance degradation or this impact of confidentiality is worth it for me or not? Because I submit it absolutely is worth it to you. Not all confidential AI cores are built equal. And here are 2 points that I want to make to that. On the left-hand side, I'm showing you that compared to 3rd generation Xeon scalable platform, which launched about 3 years ago, comparing that to our 5th generation core that just launched recently, we see a 14x performance improvement in AI training and inference. So that's a big deal. 14% is a very large number over a platform that just launched, less than 3 years ago. And on the right-hand side, this is comparing our 5th gen Intel Xeon scalable platform with our competition's latest processor, and we see a 2.4x better AI performance, inferencing performance. So again, not all AI cores are built equal, and I would submit that Xeon is here right now for you to take advantage of for your AI and confidential AI solutions. We also have software solutions to really take the most out of our AI CPUs, or our Intel Xeon CPUs, I should say, for your AI workloads. We are very strong in open source communities. We work with the open source AI communities like PyTorch, TensorFlow, Onyx, OpenFL, etc., and provide optimizations of hardware features into those communities so that they can take advantage of it, like Intel AMX. If a particular optimization or a feature is not upstreamed, there are extensions or distributions of that through OpenVINO, scikit-learn, or Spark, etc., which is also available to you. And to learn everything you want to learn about Intel software and optimization for Xeon, please go to intel.com/software. Okay, so that's from a software optimization for our hardware. The other thing, more of a programming note for all of you, one of the things that we have observed is the degradation in performance really happens when you go from a trusted execution environment out of a trusted execution environment and back in. So try to minimize your entry and exits out of a trusted execution environment to the best of your ability and to the best of your programming logic, so that you can stay inside a TEE as long as you want and do batch processing to go out and then come back again. So please think about that as you are programming for your particular solution using TEEs. And the last thing is, Intel TDX doesn't require you to refactor any of your code. That is one of the promises of VM-based isolation. You can do the same with SGX as well by using a library OS from the open source community or from one of our partners. Intel supports Grameen, which is available to you so that you don't have to refactor your code, your confidential AI code, to run inside a Grameen container that supports SGX. So please consider these three things as you are thinking about bringing your workload to confidentiality, either for Intel SGX or for Intel TDX. Intel Xeon is ready for AI right now. Right? So on the left-hand side, for most of the AI workloads, it can be addressed with Intel Xeon, right? General purpose AI, classic machine learning, deep learning training with less than 10 billion parameters, and deep learning inferencing of less than 20 billion parameters. You can deploy these kinds of solutions now on Xeon scalable platforms, right? You don't have to wait. You can do that now. And then for the ones that require discrete acceleration, and the workloads could be a dedicated AI system or deep learning training of greater than 10 billion parameters or deep learning inferencing of greater than 20 billion parameters. Intel has partnered with NVIDIA on this GPU accelerated solution for confidential AI. And there's a talk later on today between Intel and NVIDIA that discusses this in great detail. So please definitely go listen to that talk. So what's my call to action to all of you? I showed you a portfolio of technologies from Intel. You can use Intel SGX for the highest security because it's a battle-hardened solution that has a lot of internal to Intel and external to Intel security research done on that. For your most granular attestation, use Intel SGX. If you want a straightforward porting of your solution to become more confidential, use Intel TDX for that. And no confidential computing solution is complete without attestation. And Intel provides you that independent attestation through Intel Trust Authority. So you don't have to depend upon the infrastructure provider to be providing you with attestation services as well. And as far as harnessing the confidential AI opportunity on Xeon, I think the market conditions are ideal right now. AI is ideal to accelerate the confidential computing market with confidential AI. We have the best cores for AI workload, and we have the Xeon optimized AI tools and software ready for you to take advantage of. So please make sure that you are taking advantage of all the resources that are available to you from Intel. With that, this is the end of my prepared presentation, Felix.